Rightio, chairs back, tournament, rebuy. Thank you, Mark. Matthew Taylor, Memorial Chairs.
There we go.
G'day, Matt. How are you? Have you seen Matt lately?
Yeah, actually, he came around to watch the footy last night.
Did he? Going well?
Yeah, he's going good.
Hard not to like Matt, isn't it?
No, he's a good fella.
Race 3 is the
Got one of the best nicknames going around. Prozac Matt.
That was from Foley, wasn't it?
Nah, from Cookie.
Cookie.
Prozac.
It's beauty, isn't it?
No, it doesn't. It takes a bit to get fired up.
Perfect. Matt, there's a tsunami coming. You gotta love him. Race 3, the Provincial Championships final, 1400 metres. Chris Waller, Chris Lees Waller, hyphenated name. Has every runner, bar a few.
I reckon he's got. I don't think he'll win it.
No, I'm against him. I think there's quite a good bet here, Mark. But what do? Because they did.
What do they do? How many bottom four unlikely to start? So it's not actually that fast. I mean, because Chris tends to have
Back market.
yeah, or sitting sprinters or whatever. So look,
You chance of getting him, Matt. Anyway.
in her time, we'll poke up along the inside with Dream Lane. Marple Miss will be the most prominent of Chris Lees' horses, and with possibly Zestful out wide. Supreme Effort's there on the speed. So then we're sort of into the midfield and worse, and you know, you'd expect that Heady Heights and His Majesty, which are currently the equal favourites, will be in the rear division. They're sort of ride them cold horses.
Yeah, they definitely are.
His Majesty has been ridden up on the speed before, but appears to be most devastating when held up.
Yeah.
All right, Mark. Overall, and Brent obviously too. The lead-ins. It's a weird. There's a lot of off a wet track at Gosford, and then there's a 37-day gap for a couple of horses.
Yeah. But look, there was only one decent race,
Yeah.
and it was the Supreme Effort, His Majesty, Better Not Blue.
Yeah.
I mean, Heady Heights holds up there because she's just been in devastating winning touch. But the race is the first one of them at Wyong, as there was last year. Sure and Fast won the first one as well. So they tended to sort of peter out, they lack the depth.
And it's understandable, because if you've got a horse that you want to get in the race, you're going to try and give it every opportunity. So the first opportunity to do that, and if it gets beat on that time, you can sort of go down. So the better horses have just got filtered down as they've gone on.
So the question in my mind is, Supreme Effort's always been a bit of a question mark at 1400. Ran in this race last year and didn't really fire, but he's got a couple of city runs behind him. And he won the best of the lead-ups and appears to be too heavily discounted at $11. That's my take on the race.
My point of view, I think unequivocal. The old player coming not out of a provincial or country championship lead-up or all that sort of stuff, coming out of the Malaguira race, which isn't too bad. And it's been a horse that's been there or thereabouts. I thought this horse has had all over its career, provincial championships written all over it, Mark.
Well, she ran in the race last year.
I would have loved for
She ran in the race last year.
If the race was on 7 days ago, I think the setup for her would be a lot better than it is on Saturday, given the rail position.
Yep. Very cool.
And that's scaring me a little bit here with Better Not Blue.
It could be
drawn wide.
Yeah.
But I loved its run at Wyong, and given that it was first up going into that race, I thought it was open to more improvement than potentially His Majesty and Supreme Effort. Its trial since was only fair. It didn't really enthuse me watching its trial, but I'm happy to sort of just put that aside. This horse, if this track races as though it is still wet tomorrow, I think he's the best wet tracker in the race.
Yep.
And so I was Better Not Blue at the price with His Majesty, Unequivocal, and then Heady Heights. They were my sort of four.
Unequivocal could be a candidate for the way out wide, because Tommy doesn't mind getting way out wide when it's, regardless of the case, if he's coming down the outside. So he can also stay on the fence, but it's can be one extreme to the other. So there could be a wide berth runner. Mark, your viewpoint.
Yeah, well, look, I've mentioned that I think Supreme Effort will be handier than some of his dangers and represents a reasonable gamble at the moment.
All right, we've mentioned last week it was the PWA, or as opposed to the niggers with attitude, the punters with attitude. This week it's the A team or the PS team. Mark Hannibal Lambourne. I love it when a plan comes together.
Very good, Dal.
Anything to say? Yeah, segue in. Do you want me to? After a few years of doing it, Mark, I would have thought you know a segue.
Indeed. Wednesday saw one of those, just amazing days where everything falls into place.
Beautiful.
And it was, they just kept falling over. It was just there it is. Oh, this is enough. No, we'll come home with the last at 20 to 1.
Got it.
So I've had 2 of those days recently, Dal. I've had 3 probably in the last month, which is very reassuring.
Very good. Well, great. Mark stuff is available there. Obviously, just go to the site and see it. But all about the big team that we've got involved with the carnival. Just try one of the products, pick it, stick with it. You'll win over time. Steve Fletcher, Mark Lambourne, Glenn Pollitt, Vince Accardi, Race Speed Profiles, and of course John Walter. And we did just mention the provincial championships. He was declaring clearly innocent, an absolute living certainty until we had the little debacle of the 24 hours in between it. But country championships, provincial championships, John Walter. But John Walter last week, boys, like the quaddie at 60,000 suggested backing the last winner. And that sort of clouds what a great set it was across the board. And again, shot the light set on Wednesday too, BZ, like Mark did. So, look, the team's flying.
His video about how he does form
yes.
up on the site. We'll recycle that again this afternoon.
Yeah, good idea.
Get it going, but certainly just shows for those who have a somewhat interest in doing form or racing. Like he goes to a complete another level, in my opinion. How deep he does his analysis.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got an email from the Punter Show during the week, and I can assure you that it was a very good point they made that how thorough and professional everyone is, and win, lose or draw. That's one thing that you can be assured by everybody in the team. There's never a corner cut. It's all done to a million %.
It is quite astounding how many people are lined up there preparing to give it their all.
Absolutely. So you're getting the best from the best. Give it a try. Choose your product that best suits you and go from there. You'll be happy over time, that's for sure. Percy Sykes Stakes is race number 4 for the 2-year-old fillies, Group 3 set weights. Prompt Response is the favourite, ahead of Twist Tops, who doesn't go away, Time for Roses, and Gretna are the others under double figures in the early markets.
Yes, who knew that a race down the straight on was it Super Saturday? It was supposed to be the lead up to
again,
this race.
Darren Potter article is going to be very important for this. Yeah,
I didn't. Obviously those 2-year-old fillies were just hanging around for this race.
That's right, exactly. And should mention too, Darren Potter went enormous on Wednesday as well too.
Ottoman won this race last year. It was her.
This was a nose by nose, and absolutely legless.
Yeah, terrible. That was Lake Geneva.
Oh yeah.
Sempre Libera.
Sempre Libera was. Oh, Joe, of course.
Joe Moreira.
Thank you, Joe.
Anyway, look, it's not it's not a great a race for 2-year-old fillies, but in this race, Gay has set 2 of her fillies up for this race. They've both been back to the trials since their last run. Time for Rose is leading the Bindi Baker Genito.
Back up, yawn.
Well, he's got Mr. Steele in the Orange Cup today off a bit of a break.
Has he? Yeah, good on him. Beautiful.
Anyway, Time for Rose is leading Genito, Najmat Handy, and Prompt Response and Palomino in the next bracket. Look, I didn't. I wasn't particularly enamoured of this race. Brent, did you have a line on this race?
I was intrigued by Miss Rock, who had 3,000 metre runs in Melbourne and wasn't far from Prompt Response when they met at Flemington. His debut win was good, beating Valiano, who's since gone on to be okay form. Hugh Bowman booked first up, no trials. It's a pure guess, but I was sort of $15, $17. I was happy to be guessing at that price than taking Prompt Response, who comes out of the same form, who was $3.50 or thereabouts.
Yeah, look, I think that Prompt Response has a good chance, but I was a bit miffed that she's such such a pronounced favourite
Yeah.
off just a very plain looking run.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
That's what my starting point was. Starting against prompt response and then working back from that, and then I couldn't really find anything that was sort of enthusing me at their corresponding prices. And then when I saw
They're
Miss
all
Rock,
also tied together, aren't they?
exactly, and then I saw Miss Rock and I went $17. First up $1,200. Why would he be? He wouldn't like. Robbie Lang's not going to bring the horse up from Melbourne unless she's going any good. He's not just coming up for, oh well, I'm here, so let's have a runner. Like,
Yeah, and then again, it is a $500,000 race.
no, but that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think there's got to be some type of intent.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And the fact that he's got Bowman on, look, I don't know. I'm purely guessing in this race, but I was happy to guess at $17.
The thing about prompt response to take note is it is the dead set kitchen sink horse of the day,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah, it would
it?
be.
Coming home, had the run at 1,200
Right
metres
out.
with trial, blinkers on, la-di-da-di-da. It was first up 1,200 metres at Rosehill the other day, so I know it's not gay up in distance, but it's gay with
I
the break.
thought Twist Tops went better than it last
Oh,
time.
Twist Tops is doing nothing wrong. I think I heard Duff made the point, which we have made the point clearly too, is that she is developing as a horse. It was a little runty thing early on, and it's getting stronger and stronger all the time. Whether
in
that
training.
sorry,
In training.
oh, just growing, Mark, just growing. They could, they're teenagers. They go through growth spurts and that, like so. What it is now compared to what it is in the trials, I'd imagine it'd be far heavier or at least more muscular anyway. But whether that can be maintained, fifth run at a very long prep when it was tuned up early too, like it was. His first up run wasn't far off the mark, and second up when it won was absolutely on the mark. I don't know. Anyway, not a huge race.
I don't need to spend any more time.
No, Soviet Secret's a nice type who third up,
Is
but
reasonable odds.
yeah,
with
up and
blinkers
back
on.
though, but up and back.
But 3 weeks. Is it 3 weeks or 4
Yeah,
weeks?
it's quite acceptable, and so Soviet Secret maybe 10 to 1, something like that. Too.
I actually tipped it on top, so
Did you?
Secret.
Did you?
I said
Okay.
5-3-1-9, but a horse I want to mention in the race is Sprite, who failed in the boot, which is a very black mark against her, but I'm told that horses often don't come down the hill at Wellington for some reason. Anyway, her run at Rose Hill in the Oh My Sword race was meritorious. She drew the inside in the 2 runs prior, so I'd suggest that $61 is a little rich for
And
her.
looking at her run in the Widden, that was on a soft track, and she was sort of in the worst part of the track,
Yeah.
back up the inside after missing the kick. She performed admirably.
Yeah, I think she's
Big odds.
yeah, she's a bit big.
Beautiful. Race 5 is the Arrowfield Sprint. Great race this. Japanese Me is the favourite currently. In front of Petite's Blue and where do we go next? Counter Attack with the blinkers on, but it's blinkers for winkers. And Old Mate Hellbent, Kurt Goldman, Barry
I
One,
find it hard
Blake
to
Shing.
think this race is worth $500,000 and so is the previous
Yeah,
race. Like the difference in quality is
Yeah,
unbelievable.
that's right.
That's right.
And the difference in a contest.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
This should be a Group 1 race. This is
That's
fantastic.
right. It's a ripper. It is a ripper. But, alright, Mark, who does what?
Well, we've got this. Is she a squibby thing or not? I mean, you look at her form and you go, well, there's lots of thousands and 11s there. But she
Lots
hasn't
of
even
mini
seen
darling.
12, has she?
No, but her numbers are pretty strong from all reports.
They are.
So she looks to control the race from out wide. I'd Spill the Beans, who's been freshened up back to 1200, and take down, chasing her down underneath with backs on speed. I imagine that McDonald will go back on Gizzoni from Whitegate with coming back in distance. Japanese Me is a very fast horse that, were he to be... well, you remember Bowman's
Yeah.
ride on him in the was it the Brian Crowley? Is that the Roman Consul?
Yeah, the one he got
$300,000 race.
when he
where-
paraded like he was going to die, and then he was just
The
put to
Roman
the sword
Consul.
early. Yeah, exactly.
Beyond Exosphere.
Yeah.
Roman Consul.
Yeah, so he's a very fast horse when when conditions are right. So he can certainly be a player in the speed. Hellbent looks to sit off them. He's had unfortunate passages in his 2 most recent Sydney runs. You remember the Lady Sniper Inglis race where he was just like working, and prior to that was T. England just getting completely smashed up on the inside. So he looked an interesting runner to me.
I'm very keen here. Considering the price, I'm loving Counter Attack. Blinkers switched this horse right on, and prior to his first up run, it was all Chris Waller took the blinkers off
And put the blinkers
on. I was like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
And he raced.
Wasn't his race.
He wasn't his race, 100%. And he wasn't beaten far by Spill the Beans, Lee Romain, and he carried more weight than him. Then he went back to the trials. He went to Melbourne, obviously, for the Newmarket.
Yep.
He was a $7 chance in the Newmarket.
And rock solid.
Rock solid. I look at, like, Japonis May was sort of around that $4 mark. So there wasn't a lot between them in the market that day.
And then he came back and backed up after the Newmarket run.
And he was caught wide. He was in that wide Rose Hill spot.
He just wasn't in play.
Now he gets back to Randwick, cut out of the track, which the breed loves. He's a half to red tracer in shell scrape.
Yep.
They just go enormous on it. Blinkers on. I can't work out why you can get $11 for him.
Because it's a great race. That's why.
Yeah,
But then the Hellbent $8 and Spill the Beans shorter.
Well, if you remember in the Brian Crowley, Hellbent was evens.
Yeah, well, it's
Counter attack was $6.
Yeah.
But then in the Coolmore, he was ESP'd $11 and Japonis May was 21.
33.
Yeah, exactly. So
One thing I reckon I could almost rubber stamp guarantee that counter attackers compared to Spill the Beans, as in their parade, from what it was first up when the SPs were. Well, actually the SPs changed around, didn't they? But if counter attack isn't 6 lengths better than in comparison to what he was, where Spill the Beans can't really get any better than it was.
No, he was so tuned up for that first.
And counter attack was that. He's looked a little bit out of play in the yard as well too, both the times, and I'm looking forward to a counter attack that comes out and says pick me, and if he does, Brent, I think you're on the right track.
Yeah, I'm each way significant bet here.
Yeah.
Great chance. Everything just sort of falls into play for me. I had him sort of as a $5 chance.
All right, okay. I don't need to add any more. I'm him and his stablemate Japanisme, and Japanisme's form's pretty obvious, isn't it? There's not much really to say about that. I like the fact about the set weights. They are going to love
likes it too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The intent, Hugh Bowman, all that says tick, 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 Japanisme. It's sort of, that's...
Any comment on the William Reid? Because it looks a bodgy race.
I was interested, I didn't actually see a lot of it, but I was interested to hear, and this is a point I actually do want to make about Japanisme. He has been a Jekyll and Hyde parader. Like, he when he would put those series of wins together and series of good runs together, he paraded perfectly, no problems, and then he started getting this game with real sort of awfulness to him that you think he was going to die.
He was quite deep into his preparation.
Yeah, but apparently, from what Darren had conveyed to me from the Moonee Valley that night, from what he saw, he said, this is interesting because he'd done that. So it'd be interesting to see how he actually does turn himself out and behaviourally tomorrow.
All right, so Japanise Me is a fairly obvious horse. How do we line up Petit Falou?
I'm putting it in the... I respect her, but I don't...
Just go over there.
I'm just thinking 1100 Caulfield, 1000 metre Flemington, 1000 metre Moonee
Valley. If
Valley.
that was true, you wouldn't even think about it, would you?
No, probably not. No, I've just sort of just...
And there seems sufficient...
Just off you pop into the corner. This is a good race. I don't want to consider you.
I'll be the same.
Oh, you're there, right? You won by 6. Well, God bless you, darling.
Yeah. She could have the freak factor, but I'm prepared to roll the dice.
I've got to see the full breakdown of her numbers from last start, but I've got to say,
it was a +11 or something.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so she's going. Yeah,
it's not that I'm a big numbers man, but that's what I've been told.
So she's come back all right. But then again, that's a tough number to do first up too.
Right, and what of the horses astern of her are first up? Have we seen any?
Grey Street and Jalan. To me, they don't look much good. But
no, but has anything come out and off that? Off those brutal figures and
flopped. I don't
know.
Well,
not flopped. No, they haven't raced.
Oh well, that's actually something to consideration. Have a look at that and see how
they've got form around, say, the Super Cashes and the like, which we saw last week.
Yeah, exactly. It's you're lighting up. Anyway, all right. Well, I'm 3-1-1-3, which is Japanisme counterattack, Japanisme either way.
Well, there's a lot to mention. Takedown is racing particularly well. Hellbent has some positive attributes, and Gizzoni did something the other day under C. Brown.
That was awesome.
That you're looking at her going, I want you in a race to suit. Not that this necessarily
is 1600 metres back to 1200 suitable, but then again it might be. It's sort of that was a sort of Pearl.
It's not a Group 1.
No, it's a great race for him.
Anyway, it is a great race. So let's proceed.
The Australian Oaks looked. I really like this race after